Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my van down by the river. So there will be wars and rumors of wars. So are we looking at a global conflagration of wars that could come together into what might be known as World War III? You know, World War I was not known as World War I until World War II. Before that, it was known as the war to end all wars. They kind of failed at that, didn't they? If anything, it was the beginning of sorrows. And I think periodically down through history, global events come together to create circumstances and situations where wars break out all at once. Why is that? Well, some would say it's the cabal, it's manipulation. They do this every once in a while to reset everything and resum the game. And it's kind of like go back to do not pass go, do not collect $200, you know, or something. It's just, it's the way to put an end to one era and welcome in another, and that they're doing it intentionally, and it's manipulation. There are other theories. You know, Christians might say, you know, it's demonic activity, that the devil is manipulating all of this, and yes, he's using people to do it. Others would get more supernatural about it and say it's a spirit, it's a cloud. And I just did a video about the lessons learned in Liberia, and those were civil wars in Liberia and in Bosnia-Herzegovina. And I talked about the lessons we learned there, but I talked about this spirit of mayhem and spirit of war. And I feel like whether it's manipulation from the cabal, whether it's, you know, direct demonic interference, or some spirit that occasionally rises, hey, maybe it's the cumulative effect of swamp gas, I don't know. I just know that it's happening again. Is this the big one? Is this the war and rumors of war? Are we experiencing that right now in the world? You know, since World War I, and really since the beginning of time, there's always been some kind of war going on, and especially since World War I, the war to end all wars. There's always something going on. Somebody's fighting somebody somewhere. But occasionally, in a somewhat cyclical and almost predictable way, especially in the past 150 years, we enter cycles of worldwide conflagration, where it doesn't seem like that we could be connected to what's going on in France, or that we could be connected to what's going on in South America, or what's going on in Africa. But at the same time, it seems like everyone's fighting similar sort of battles, or they're engaged in some kind of conflict over there and over here and everywhere all at the same time. Is it coincidence? Or is it a rhythmic pattern, like a wave? You know, if you've ever been to the ocean, you may know this. If you were raised around the ocean, if you're a beach person, then you probably know this for sure. And I can demonstrate it to you. And after this, if you've never heard of this, you'll go to the beach and test me. And I encourage you to. But probably almost 100% of the time, in the high 90s percentage of the time, when you sit and watch the surf, every seventh wave is bigger. You know, I talked about the rhythm of the trees and the sounds that they make in my big tree video. And, you know, the ocean has a rhythm as well. So you can test this theory by standing on the beach. And set yourself up where the waves almost come to your feet. And they'll be pretty rhythmic. But that seventh wave is a rogue wave, and if you don't back up for it, you'll get drenched clear up to your knees. I promise you, it works like that. Try it out. Now, depending on the tide and the moon and all of that, it's greater or lesser, but it is measurably larger. There's other things that might interfere with that rhythm, like coral reefs or points or things, underwater obstructions. But for the most part, that's a theory that's provable, that every seventh wave is bigger. There's a similar rhythm to mayhem. There's a similar rhythm to chaos. Whether it's manipulated or natural, there is a rhythm to it, and it's almost as predictable as the seventh wave phenomenon. And it is when this madness of war falls upon a population, and that every once in a while, not every 7 years, I wish it were that easy, But every so often, it all seems to just go up at once. And we're finding ourselves in this situation right now in the world today. Now, I would like to talk about some of those instances and give you some solid examples. In South America right now, many people believe that Brazil and a couple of other nations are engineering some tension between them and Venezuela. And it's related to Venezuela's crash. They don't like the destabilization of Venezuela, and they really want to intervene. So some people believe that they're creating some false flag events, Brazil and other countries that surround Venezuela. And that there is this, conflagration that's being engineered there to give them the excuse to invade Venezuela, which many people might see as a rescue mission, because Venezuela is in a wreck right now. But I don't see how war and invasion could make it any better. But something's got to give there, that's for sure. So you've got that. Basically, you're starting to see something that might end up being a continent-wide conflagration involving all of the major countries of South America. That could bleed north as well. We also have what's going on in the French Yellow Vest Revolution. I like to call them the Yellow Jackets, because some of them have full jackets, but they wear that fluorescent green-yellow color, and they're rioting. And our press isn't talking about it because it's Pelosi, Trump, Pelosi, Trump, Pelosi, Trump, and you never hear about what's going on in Paris. I think we're looking at 10 straight weeks. I have almost lost count of how many weeks it's been. And the the Yellow Vest situation is spreading to other countries. It's spreading to other, even here you're starting to see Yellow Vest represented, and the ideas behind it in some of the demonstrations / riots that have been happening in America. And let's just talk about that, the civil unrest. People used to talk about what we would do if we were having civil unrest. Wake up! We're having civil unrest. Our congressmen are getting mowed down by automatic gunfire on the baseball field. Antifa's running wild in Portland. It's just, it's one thing after another. And there's more to it than meets the eye. And it's getting thicker and deeper and worse. Is this a reaction to this spirit that I talk about? The spirit of mayhem? This dark force that falls on a world and just makes people not get along? Have you felt it pulling on you? We have an obligation to let calmer heads and saner points of view prevail. That vitriol and hatefulness and anger only fuel this spirit. The only way to defeat the spirit of mayhem is to resist it in yourself, and do that collectively as a group, as a nation, as a people, as the people, as we the people. We the people have an obligation to our children and our grandchildren and generations to come, to leave them something of this great country that is worth having. And if we succumb to the spirit of mayhem, there will be nothing left to give them but ashes. Do you want that to happen on your watch? Wars and rumors of wars. What's happening in South Africa? Why don't we hear more about it? Tensions are rising there. Soon there will be a reaction and a counter-reaction and an overreaction. The sparks of war are being flamed in Sweden as they prepare. China threatens war with America by threatening to invade Taiwan. They are preparing and building their war machine. And to ignore China's militaristic buildup and advancement, it would be a ridiculous and foolish thing to let happen to a great nation like the United States. We absolutely need to be paying close attention to what is going on with the Chinese. This looks more than anything else like the buildup that Hitler did right before World War II. He built an army. He built a machine to stand up to the world, and the Chinese have done this. And they're exercising their power in the South China Sea. And Taiwan and the Philippines are under their view and in their target. Their crosshairs are set on those islands, and they want them. And only America can stop them. But we can't stop them if we're torn up from the inside out. They think this might be the perfect time to make their move. After all, don't they own most of our debt, or at least a large sum of it? While we fight amongst ourselves, our enemies sharpen their knives. Wake up, Americans. Of every race, creed, color, religion, and background, if you love this great country, wake up right now. Stop fighting one another and realize if we don't pull our head out of the sand, if we don't stand up and be the America that the world knew once upon a time again, then we will be destroyed from within and from without. And if you don't think it can happen, just study the rise and the fall of the Roman Empire. God save our great republic.